All right. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for College 101, Unidos Now's first community workshop of this year. Tenemos traducción en español para las familias que prefieren escuchar en español este taller. Para ello simplemente tienen que ir a la esquina superior o inferior derecha de su pantalla, hacer clic donde dice más, luego hacer clic donde dice interpretación de idiomas, y luego clic en español y en silenciar audio original. Mi colega va a poner las instrucciones en el chat para que las puedan seguir allí también. Así que si quieren tomarse unos segunditos para cambiar a la traducción en español, pueden hacerlo ahora mismo. My name is Cynthia Ellenstar. I'm the program director at Unidos Now, and I'm happy to welcome so many students and parents and community partners to this wonderful workshop in which you're going to learn not only about the many post-secondary education options available, but also about the main steps required to apply to college and the many different types of financial aid that are available to help you pay for your education. Before introducing our speaker, I would like to tell you that this workshop is being made possible thanks to the Charles and Marjorie Baranski Foundation. We are very grateful to the Baranski Foundation for believing in our future leaders and for their continued support. Our speaker today is Juan Arcila. Juan is a friend. He's a former director of education of Unidos Now, and he's currently one of our college coaches. Juan has plenty of experience guiding and empowering students throughout their journey to college, and we couldn't be happier to have him with us today. Please note that this workshop, again, includes Spanish interpretation, and it's being recorded. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat, and the speaker will answer them at the end of his presentation. And now, please join me in welcoming Juan Arcila. Juan, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Hello, everybody. My name is Juan. I'm a college coach with Unidos Now, and on behalf of the team and the Charles and Marjorie Baranski Foundation, I want to welcome everybody to our community workshop, first one of the year, like Cynthia mentioned, and this is College 101. So before we jump into things, some of you may not be familiar with Unidos Now. So who are we? We are a small but mighty team. We're composed of staff members like Luz Caquera, our executive director, Cynthia, our program director, Lisbeth, our family engagement director. And on this call as well, we have Lucero Guzman, who is education coordinator, and Alex, who is also our education coordinator. But we're made up of community members as well, donors, advisors. It takes a village to help us support our mission. So this is very much a community-oriented organization. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So what exactly do we do at Unidos Now? Well, we have a variety of programs in our mission. So our mission is to empower the Hispanic Latino community with education, leadership, and civic engagement. And our program starts at a very early age. So it starts with our Future Leaders Academy for girls. And I see some of the parents here have had their girls go through that program. So FLAG is a program where we empower young girls in elementary school with the education, the knowledge, and the skill set that they need to prepare themselves to be leaders in middle school and high school and after they graduate. So we believe that this process should start at a very early age. Past that, we have our FLAMS, which is the Future Leaders Academy for middle school students. And in this program, we make sure that middle school students are equipped with the right knowledge that they need to be successful in the transition to high school. Our other program is the Future Leaders Academy for high school students. This is our keystone program. It's the very first one that we had in our community when we pivoted to the education model. And in this program, we make sure students are prepared for life after high school. So just like the other programs, we empower them with the leadership skills and knowledge, but this is a more practical program because these students are going to be entering their adult lives soon after they graduate. So we want to make sure they have a clear next step after they graduate from high school, whether it's a technical college, a community college, a four-year university, which are some of the things we're going to be talking about today. We want to make sure that everybody has a right path after high school. In addition to that, we have our high school clubs, where students learn about leadership, They learn about college prep, and they're also involved in community service. And past that, we have our college completion program. So in that program, we follow our students, we support them even after they graduate from high school, even after they're done with our programs. We make sure they get the right mentorship, the right resources and support for them to be successful in college. And finally, our parent leadership program has been going strong for the past 2 years. We're very proud of our parents because they're very involved in our programs and in our students' lives. So they're becoming educated about the options that the students have after high school, but they're also themselves continuing education. They're becoming leaders. They're involved in community service. So we're empowering them to make sure that they're able to pass off that leadership and that passion to their children as well. So that is Unidos Now in a nutshell. And then we also have community workshops like this one. Typically, we have them in person, but because of the pandemic and to make it more accessible to more people, we're now doing a hybrid model where we do online workshops and in-person workshops. All right, so this is going to be the meat of our presentation. We are going to focus on 3 types of colleges today. We're going to be talking about technical colleges, 2-year colleges, community colleges, and 4-year universities. Here, let me turn my camera off so that way we don't have any Wi-Fi issues. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so 3 types of colleges. We want to make sure that everybody has a clear path after they graduate from high school. We're not pushing one particular school over others, right? So some people think that we're just preparing students for 4-year universities, for selective Harvard schools and elite colleges, but that's not necessarily the case, right? We want to make sure that everybody has a clear path after they graduate, but it's the right fit for them. So these are the 3 types of colleges we're going to be talking about. Technical colleges, 2-year colleges, also known as community colleges, and 4-year universities. So let's jump into the first one, technical and vocational colleges. Now, the requirements to gain admission into a technical or vocational college is simply a high school diploma or a GED. You don't need an SAT score. You don't have to be involved in extracurricular activities. You don't need to write an essay. You just gotta want to have the conviction and the choice to continue your education. A couple of examples of schools like this in our community are MTC, Manatee Technical College, and Suncoast Technical College. STC, Manatee Technical College is in Bradenton, Suncoast is in Sarasota. But this is all you need to get in, just a high school diploma or a GED. And many times you can get a GED in going to these schools. So there really isn't an excuse to not continue your education after high school, right? Some people feel like it's either a 4-year university or that's it. There isn't any other options, but there's so many alternatives as well. All right, so here are the types of careers that you can learn and study at a technical college. So we have careers like a paramedic, which takes 12 months to complete. Another one is a licensed practical nurse or an LPN, takes 11 months to complete. Another one, which maybe some of you haven't heard of, is a surgical technologist. They're the ones that keep the surgical instruments clean and hygienized and sterile and pass those instruments to the nurses and surgeons. So this one takes around 11 months to complete. So a lot of these certificates, a lot of these degrees oftentimes takes anywhere from a year or less to complete the program. They're very affordable. They're very accessible as well. It's not just during the day. You can do part-time. You can take classes at night. Some of it are online. Some of it are in person. It's a very practical type of experience. So these are some healthcare careers, but there are so many more. I just gave you 3 examples. Other examples are careers in technology and industry. For example, air conditioning and refrigeration technology is a very in-demand job in Florida because of the heat. It takes about 11 months to complete. To become an electrician, about 12 months to get your foot in the door. There's other certifications that you got to get to continue your career as an electrician, but just to get certified in the beginning, it's a 12-month program. manufacturing and production, 12 months. So if you're somebody that loves using your hands, maybe you're not the type of person that wants to spend 4 years, studying a liberal arts degree. Maybe you just love using your hands. Then there are so many programs out there that aligns with your skill set and your passions. And these are just some examples. But I encourage you to definitely go on those websites and look at the different types of careers and programs out there, because there's so many more. There's careers in hospitality, in business, in web development. It just depends on what you're looking for and what really aligns with your skill set. Okay, so let's move on to the other type of college. We have two-year colleges and community colleges. Now, very similar to technical college, the requirements to study at a two-year college is a high school diploma or a GED, right? And there's 3 different types of degrees that you can get at a community college. You can get an associate in science degree, an associate in arts, and sometimes a bachelor of science degrees. They have limited options, but sometimes if you want to study business or hospitality, they have bachelor's degrees programs as well. Now, for this particular workshop, we're going to focus on the AS degree, the associate in science, and the associate in arts degree. Of course, the most well-known community college in our community is SCF, State College of Florida. But I personally went to St. Petersburg College, and I know Cynthia did too, which is in Clearwater. But let's talk about that in a bit. All right, so associate in science, AS degrees. Now, it doesn't necessarily always have to do with science. That's just the word, the term that's used for this type of degree, an AS degree. When you think of an AS degree, you can think of a typically a 2-year program that prepares you for the workforce right after you graduate. So when you think of AS, think around 2 years, and it prepares you for the workforce. All right, these are some examples. Dental hygienist takes about 2 years to 2.5 years. A radiographic technician, if you've ever injured your arm or a bone in your body, typically they're the first ones that take the x-ray before sending it over to the doctors. To become a paralegal, that's typically a 2-year program as well. And I see some questions in the chat. Don't worry, we'll spend some time at the end of this for some Q&A. I want to get to the content first, the workshop, and then we'll go through the chat, answer some questions at the end of the presentation. So write them down or put them in the chat, and then we'll go back and revisit them. So that's the associate in science degrees. But again, it doesn't always necessarily have to do with science. Like paralegal, I guess you can call it legal science, but it's not necessarily related to life sciences. You can get an associate in science in business, in web development, in IT, in cybersecurity, right? So when you think AS, think 2 years in workforce. Now, on the other hand, you can also get an AA degree, an associate in arts. Now, that can also be a misnomer. It doesn't necessarily have to do with art. It's just a generic degree. And an associate in arts degree prepares you to transfer to a 4-year university. So it's typically known as a 2+2 program. You do 2 years at a community college, and then you do the other 2 years at a university. So when you think of an AA degree, think of a degree that helps you transfer to a 4-year university. So AS, 2-year program, you can go to work right afterwards, you're skilled, you're licensed, you're prepared, that's it. If you want to continue your education and transfer to a 4-year university, you can do it this way too. You can do a 2-year program at a community college and then finish off your degree at a 4-year university. And this is exactly what I did, by the way. So I didn't go to SCF, I went to St. Petersburg College in Clearwater, and I got my AA degree first. And I did it for a number of reasons. Number one, it was much more affordable than going to a 4-year university right away. Secondly, I could stay at home and help out my parents. I still needed to work and help out my family, but I went to a community college first. I got everything paid for because of the scholarships that I got, and we'll talk about financial aid towards the end of the presentation. But I didn't have to pay a single dime. In fact, they actually paid me to go to college because of all the scholarships and all of the grants that I was able to get. I actually got some money extra in my pocket, which I could use for books, for food, for car, for a computer, to help out with my family. So I was literally getting paid to go to school. So this is another alternative. If your end goal is to go to a 4-year university, but for whatever reason you can't go right away, maybe you have to stay at home and help out the family, or maybe it is too expensive and you can't go to a 4-year university right away, well, that's okay. You can start off at a community college, at a school like SEF, get your AA degree, Associate in Arts, and then transfer. And again, it doesn't mean you have to study something in arts. It's just a general degree. I can't emphasize that enough. What classes do you take in your Associate in Arts? Well, they're pretty similar to regardless of what major you're going to study. You still have to take your history, your government, your math, your science. These are classes that people at a university are taking. The first year and a half to 2 years are pretty much the same, regardless of what major you're studying. The only difference here is that you're taking those basic courses at a community college. And then your more specialized courses, you finish them at a 4-year university. So that's the main difference. AS degree, workforce after 2 years, AA degree helps you transfer. Okay, quick question for you guys. What type of degrees or what type of careers can you get, can you study at a community college that's an AS degree? Let's see if you guys are paying attention. I did it in the previous slide, but what type of careers can you study for an AS degree? Let's see if you guys are doing that before we jump into the types of careers you can study at a university. What's the difference, right? So let's see, what are some other ones? What are some examples? Yep, dental hygienist, that's exactly it. It's a 2-year program. And you don't have to necessarily be straight out of high school. Keep that in mind. So that's another misconception. People feel like, oh, I only have this fine window of opportunity to go to college. It has to be right after high school. I have to be young. That's not true. It can be at any time in your life. As long as you made the choice, you made the commitment and the decision to go back to school, they'll welcome you with open arms. When I went to a community college, I went to school with people from different ages and backgrounds. I went to school with high school kids that were taking dual enrollment classes. So they were younger than I was. I was like 18, 19, and there were like 16-year-olds in my classes because they were taking dual enrollment classes. On the opposite side of the spectrum, I was taking classes with people that were 70 years old. Maybe they were just wanted to take a class for fun. Some actually wanted to change their careers. So if you're a parent listening to this and you want to advance your career, you want to switch to a new career, if you want a higher income potential, it's never too late. As cheesy as that may sound, is the truth. You just got to have the dedication and you got to make the decision to go back to school. All right, so let's move on. 4-year universities. Okay, these are the colleges that you've probably heard of. And these are the type of degrees that you can get at these universities. A bachelor's, master's, and professional degrees like a PhD, or to become a doctor like a physician is an MD, or a lawyer, a JD, a Juris Doctor, right? Orthodontist. These are schools where you can study those professions. I just give you some examples of well-known universities in Florida, right? Let's see here. Let's see if you guys know where they're located. Where's Florida Polytechnic located? Does anybody know? It's in Lakeland. It looks like a giant spaceship. I don't know if you've ever driven through Lakeland going to Orlando, but it's like this giant spaceship-looking university. It's very small, and it's very tech-oriented, engineering, computer science, etc. Florida Atlantic, that should give you a hint. Where's FAU located? Yep, it's located in Boca Raton. Boca Raton, near Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. Florida Gulf Coast University. Where do you think that one's located? That is in Fort Myers. So going south of Sarasota, going towards like Naples. What about FIU? Where's FIU located? FIU is in Miami. Good job, Maryland. Yep, that is in Miami. And what about FAMU? Florida Agricultural Mechanical University. I think that's the right acronym. Yeah, FAMU. That is in Tallahassee. New College, well, if you're local, you know that New College is right here in Sarasota. UNF, University of North Florida, is in Jacksonville. UWF, University of West Florida, is in Pensacola, in the Panhandle. FSU, also in Tallahassee. Quick trick question, where's USF located? Bonus points for people that get this one. At Tampa. Yeah, that's the main campus is in Tampa. The reason it's a trick question is because there's multiple campuses. There's a couple more. There's one in Sarasota, USF Sarasota Manatee, and then one in St. Petersburg, USF St. Pete. It's in downtown, right on the water too. Beautiful campus. UCF, where's UCF located? Yep, got it, Omar. It's in Orlando. It's one of the biggest campuses in the country, probably the world. Last time I checked, there was like around 65,000 students go to UCF. It's wild. Yeah, it's insane. It might have gone up. That was last year that I checked that number. It's probably closer to 70,000. And of course, University of Florida. Where's UF located? It's located in Gainesville. So these are the schools that we have in Florida. These are public. Obviously, they're not the only universities, the only 4 universities. There's other private ones like University of Miami. It's very well known, but it's not a public school, it's a private school. And so is the University of Tampa, so is San Leo, Flagler College. There's a lot of them in Florida, but these are the public ones. All right, let's go on. Let's talk about careers. So another question for everybody here. What type of careers typically require a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree or higher? What do you think? What can you think of some examples of careers that require a 4-year degree? Teacher, yeah, oftentimes. Yep, to be a teacher, oftentimes, yeah, you need a bachelor's degree in secondary education. See some questions here regarding to credits. Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. No worries. Nurse, so it depends, right? It depends on the type of nurse, right? So we talked about at the beginning of the presentation that you can become an LPN, a licensed practical nurse in 12 months. So technically you're a nurse. We can also get a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And then you can get a master's and become a nurse practitioner. So it just depends on the level of nursing that you want to get. Surgeons and lawyers, that's even more than 4 years. Surgeon is like a 12-year program, right? Same thing, well, a lawyer is a 4-year undergrad, 3-year postgrad, right? So to become a lawyer, it takes about 7 years. So Maryland, remember, AA is to transfer. So if you want to become an LPN, it's an Associate of Science in Nursing, right? LPN, yeah, you got it, AS. But you can also transfer your credits if you want a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And in that case, you could get an AA and then transfer and get a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So that's why it's important to know what you want to do to talk to your advisors. Quick question here, and I'll answer this one because you asked it a couple times. I won't mention your name out loud, but you said that you're an immigrant, you're a sophomore, and I really want to go to college here, but that does fact, I'm an immigrant prevent me? No, it doesn't prevent you. No, a lot of these schools, regardless of your documentation or your immigration status, some schools do accept you. Not all of them. It's a lot harder. That's the honest. We've dealt with students from different types of backgrounds, different types of immigration status, and it is possible, right? It's definitely harder, but not impossible. You definitely can. You just got to work really hard. You got to study, get involved in a program like Unidos Now, where we give you the right resources. but it does not prevent you from going to college. There's limiting opportunities, but with the right help, the right sources, you can find a right fit college. Okay. All right. So let's go on. Let's see. I think I have the perfect. Let's talk about the requirements first and then the types of careers. What are the requirements? So it is a selective process depending on the school that you're going into. So generally speaking, these are the things that these type of colleges are going to look for. Yes, you need a high school diploma to get in, but on top of that, in addition to a high school diploma, some of them require that you take rigorous coursework in high school, advanced classes like honors classes, like AP, advanced placement, IB if you're in an international baccalaureate program, ACE, dual enrollment. So if your goal is to go to a full university right after you graduate from high school, make sure you're taking rigorous classes, honors, AP, IB, and ACE. And oftentimes these credits, they do transfer to a university. What does that mean? What does it mean that credits transfer? It means that you don't have to take those classes anymore in college because you already took it in high school. And if you got a good score on your exams, in your AP exams, and your IB exams, then oftentimes those schools accept them, the colleges accept them. So you can skip that class. You don't have to take that class in college, which saves you time and saves you money. What's the other requirement? The ACT and the SAT. Good question for you guys here. Which one do you have to take? Which one is better to take, the ACT or the SAT? Yeah, Rosa, you're right. Cualquiera. It depends on your strengths. Yeah. You don't have to take both. You really only need to take one, either the ACT or the SAT, right? The one that you're good at, exactly. So oftentimes in high school, you can take the PSAT, right? When you're a sophomore, I think that's when you can start taking it. You take the PSAT in sophomore year, also in junior year. The PSAT is like a practice one, right? And then in junior year, we recommend you take the ACT. And at that point, you've taken both. You've taken the PSAT, which is very similar to the real thing, to the real SAT. And then you take the ACT in junior year and you can compare and contrast. Then you can see like, you know what? I like the ACT better than the PSAT. So then you can continue to study the ACT, continue taking the test until you get the score that you need to get into your desired colleges. How many times should you take these tests? What do you think? I'll let you think about that one while I sip my cup of tea here. No, 10 is too much. 10 is too much, Lucia. Yeah, that's a good guess though. 3, yeah, exactly. We recommend 3, until you get what you want, kind of, right? So some schools look down if you take like 10 or 15 times, they look down on that, right? And it takes a lot of time to study for these tests, and sometimes you have to pay for it. It can get expensive. And of course, the time that you're studying too. So we recommend 3. 3 is a good rule of thumb, right? You can take it once in junior year, so you can take it in the fall of your junior year. Let's say like, November, December of junior year. Take the ACT for the first time, and then you get your scores back, and then you compare that versus what you got in your PSAT. Just think about it. Just be like, did I do better in the ACT or did I do better in the PSAT? Well, you know what? I like the ACT better. So then you choose that one, and that's the one that you continue to study. So maybe you study for 2 months, and then you take the ACT again in February or March, and then you get your second score. And then you look at it and you're like, I think I could do better. Let me study some more. And then you study for another 2 months, and then maybe you take it again in the summer, right? In May or June. And that's your third time, right? So shoot for 3, no more than 3. That should be enough to get you the score that you need. Okay, so another thing about the ACT or the SAT, they do something called super scoring. Does anybody know what super scoring is? Super scoring. Super scoring. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, exactly, Omar. You got it. When the scores are combined. Yep, Max, you got it. Best math and best reading score together. Yeah, so remember, you can take it a few times, right? So let's say you take the test 3 times. You can submit all of your scores, by the way, to the colleges. And they're going to combine your best scores from all the times that you took the test. So let's say you did poorly in the reading section the first time, but then you really increased it on the 3rd time that you took it. Well, they're only going to look at the better score. Same thing with the math section, or the ACT has 4 sections. So they're going to mix and match from all of the times you took the test to give you the best score, which is a super score. So don't feel pressured that you have to get a perfect score the first time you take it. No, this is where you study, you reflect on your strengths and weaknesses, and you focus on the things that you need to improve. See that? So you can take either the ACT or the SAT. It's up to you. And we recommend you take it at least or maximum 3 times. And from there, you send all of those scores to the colleges, and then they will super score them. Make sense? Good stuff. All right, so the next requirement are extracurricular activities. These are activities you do outside of school: sports, clubs, volunteering, work. So work definitely counts as an extracurricular activity. What else? What else do you think is an extracurricular activity? Put them in the chat. Let's see. I got to find the chat. It went away. Here you guys are. There's a chat. Service hours. Yeah, service hours is volunteer work. Yeah, absolutely. What about, yep, after school weekend sports? You got it. What about babysitting? What if you have to take care of your brother or your sister because your parents are going to work? Does that count? Yes, that counts. Absolutely. That's a responsibility. Yeah, you're dedicating your time to take care of somebody else. Absolutely. And I don't think dogs are pets. Well, I mean, it depends. But maybe you have it as a little side business. If you do it on a regular basis, maybe you babysit other people's dogs or pets. Then yeah, that could count as an extracurricular. Absolutely. But not just hanging out with your dog on the weekends. That doesn't really count as babysitting. But yeah, if you do it regularly for other people, then yeah, definitely. So yeah, those are all great extracurricular activities. Okay, what else do we have here? We have the essay. Some schools require the college essay. Some schools require more than one essay. It just depends on the school, right? So you got to make sure you understand their admission requirements. Many times you can just do the Common App essay. So maybe some of you haven't heard what the Common App is, but it's basically a universal application where you can apply to college and you can submit your essay there. And they typically give you prompts like topics to write about. But they're always more or less the same ones. Write about your personal story. So like you said, Lucia, your personal story, a life-changing experience, somebody that you admire, talk about a belief one of your beliefs that was challenged. So there are a lot of common themes when it comes to the essay writing process. So start thinking about these things early. It'll definitely help you once you get to college application season. All right, so these are the four requirements, right? We got rigorous coursework, advanced classes. We got the ACT or ACT. We got the extracurricular activities, and then we got the college essay. Now, not all 4 universities will require all of these. So let's go back. Let's see if I can go back. Yeah. So, all right, so let's talk about these colleges. Like, for example, USF, they really only require rigorous coursework. So making sure you have a good GPA, you take advanced classes, and the SAT or ACT, right? That's basically what they're going to be looking at. They're not really going to pay a lot of attention to extracurricular activities or the essay. The essay is optional. Now, if you look at a school like UF, for example, or FSU or New College, they have other requirements. So they're going to require that you take advanced classes, yes. They're going to require SAT or ACT, yes. But they're also going to require extracurricular activities, that you're a leader, that you dedicated your time, that you grew in an organization. And they're also going to look at that essay. So not all schools are the same. And just because they ask for more doesn't mean that they're better in any way. No, you determine what's best for you. If USF, FAU, Florida Polytechnic, if you really resonate with their audience, you love that school, you love that campus, and that's fine. They just have different requirements. So start thinking about these things, the type of schools that you want to get into and what they require. Okay, so what are the type of careers? This is an example, for a bachelor's degree, typically a 4-year degree. Sometimes it takes longer, and that's okay. You don't have to finish it within 4 years. It's recommended that you do. It's not mandatory. To become a mechanical engineering, that's a BS in mechanical engineering, a Bachelor of Science in mechanical engineering, a computer science to become a software programmer, computer scientist, that's a 4-year degree. And then a registered nurse, right? To become an RN, yes, you got to get a bachelor's degree. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so each student should develop a balanced college application list. So we recommend that you have a well-balanced portfolio, a well-balanced college application list. So we typically recommend you apply anywhere from 7 to 10 colleges. 8 is the sweet spot. So as long as you're around 8, you're in a good spot. And this is how we recommend you balance out that list, right? So apply to at least one of the open admission schools. Open admission are the ones that you only need a high school diploma to get into, right? We talked about those schools. We talked about MTC, Suncoast Technical College, State College of Florida. Apply to one of those schools because as long as you have the dedication to go, you have a high school diploma or a GED, you can get into those schools. Next, we have less selective schools, like Florida Atlantic University, Florida Gulf Coast, Lynn, it's a private college. But these are schools that, you just need to have a decent GPA. Doesn't mean you have to have a perfect GPA, just a good enough GPA. You've taken some advanced courses, like a couple honors courses, AP. Doesn't mean you have to have all of your courses be advanced, but you've challenged yourself in some way. As long as you have that, these are colleges that you can be confident that you'll get into with good grades and the good enough SAT score, right? So it's FAU, Florida Gulf Coast, less selective, right? You don't need as high of a GPA or you don't need as high of an SAT score to get into these schools. They do require those, so it is different than open admission schools because they do require that you have a GPA, a good enough GPA, and do you take the SAT or the ACT. Then we have more selective schools. UCF and USF, now they're a little bit more competitive. They're looking for a higher GPA than the FAUs and Florida Gulf Coast, right? A higher GPA. Oftentimes they're looking for a higher SAT or ACT score. It changes, throughout the year. But you want to hover around like the 25 mark, 24, 25 for the ACT. For the SAT, run 1,200 to 1,300 to be in a good spot. This is just averages, right? Start thinking about it. They're a little bit more selective. Very selective schools like UF, FSU, University of Miami, they require high GPAs, over a 4.0 weighted GPA, right? So they require that you do take a lot of advanced classes, right? For the UFs, the FSUs, a lot of AP classes or IB or ACE will do enrollment and getting good grades in those courses. On top of that, a high SAT score. For the ACT, average around a 30, high 20s, 30s to be confident, to be competitive. And of course, extracurricular activities, essays. So that's very selective. And then most selective are your like Ivies, your Ivy League colleges, the Harvards, Stanfords. Um, those are reach schools. And those are reach schools for anybody. Even if you have a perfect GPA and you're the valedictorian and you're the class president and you're the star athlete, these are all considered elite reach colleges. Okay, so we recommend about one college that you apply to in open admissions, 1 to 2 for less selective schools that you know for sure you're going to get into. At least one from a selective bucket, 2 to 3 in the very selective ones, and then 1 to in the most selective ones. Right? So balance it out. This is just an example, but it's up to you to determine what makes a balanced college application list for you. You may not even want to apply to a really selective school. Maybe your combination is very selective and selective, but dream big because you'll be surprised. But make sure you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket. Don't be applying to just 8 Ivy League colleges. And at the same time, don't undershoot yourself. Don't underappreciate yourself or undervalue yourself, but just applying to open admissions or less selective colleges. You need a good balance of them. Okay? All right, so this is super key. Make sure you have a well-balanced list. So financial aid, let's talk about that. How do you actually pay for college? Big question, a lot of opportunities, a lot of options, right? So there's different types of financial aid. There are grants. Grants are money that you don't have to pay back. They're often need-based. They're based in your family's income. So that's like the Pell Grant, and we'll talk about what that is in just a moment. Scholarships. So scholarships are merit-based. Merit-based means that you have to have a good GPA, good test scores, good extracurricular activities. Some scholarships require that you write an essay. So it's merit-based. That means you have to earn that scholarship. There's also work study. So work study basically is an opportunity for you to work at your college campus, and they help pay for your tuition. So you work and you study at the same time, often as either at a business in the campus, as a teacher assistant, at a library. There's different types of work study programs, but that's the gist of it. You don't have to pay that money back in any way. For work study, scholarships, and grants, you do not have to repay that back. Loans, on the other hand, of course, you have to pay them back. So you want to maximize your financial aid from grants, scholarships, work study. So get the most that you can from those 3 buckets first: the grants, the scholarship, and work study. And only as a last resort, if you really need to, you can then tap into loans. There's federal, school, and private loans. But just as a rule of thumb, this is the workflow that you should follow: grants, scholarships, work study, and then if you need to, tap into loans. Okay, so let's talk about the Pell Grant. So what is the name of the application that opens up every year from the federal government that everybody should fill out? Before I go into that one, let's see if you know what it is. Hey, you got it. Yep, Lucia and Dorothy, you got it. It's FAFSA. It's FAFSA. You got it. The free application for federal student aid. Check it out. FAFSA. It opens up every October 1st. You should start applying to it in the senior year of high school for your student. So if you're a student listening to these, senior year, it's when you start filling it out. For your parent with a student, it's their senior year when you're going to be applying to it. Opens October 1st. The maximum amount that you can get from the grant is around $6,495. So this is money that you do not have to pay back. And this is based on your family's income. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to automatically get all this money. It could be less, but the maximum that you can get, $6,495. And this is year after year, so you can renew it year after year. Okay. But the FAFSA is necessary to apply to other types of financial aid at a college. So this is the foundation. This is the first step. This is the first door. So make sure you fill out the FAFSA, because based on that information, the colleges are going to determine what other types of financial aid you're eligible for. Could be other types of scholarships, could be other types of grants. So the colleges themselves, they have their own grants. They have their own specialized grants. But for you to be eligible for them, you have to fill out the FAFSA. How do you fill it out? It's online. There's going to be a ton of workshops. There's a big push to complete FAFSA during senior year. So you're going to start hearing about all these free workshops. Unidos now has these workshops. So just make sure that the earlier, the better, right? So if you can get it done that day, perfect. If not, make sure you complete it before the year ends, before December, because sometimes there's deadlines. Schools have deadlines. So the earlier, the better. Okay, so now we've reached the end of the presentation. We're almost there, guys. So before we do, and then we'll talk about Q&A, I want to let you know about our Future Leaders Academy, FLA, the Futures Leader Academy for high school students. So we talked about this in the beginning of our program, but it's our high school program. And like I mentioned before, it's a program where we educate students, where we empower them we equip them with the right skills, the right knowledge that they need to make an educated decision for their post-secondary education. So whether it's a technical college, a community college, a four-year university, an elite university like a Harvard or a Stanford, we prepare you and get you on that path. So the Future Leaders Academy is opening now. We're accepting applications. It is a paid program, but we provide scholarships for families that need it. So we'll take the application. We don't deny people based on their background or their ability to pay. It's typically a paid program, but we offer scholarships to applicants. So what do you learn in the Future Leaders Academy? Well, we help you create a college list. So that college list that you just saw, we make sure that you create a well-balanced, well-thought-out list. We take you on college tours, so you learn about the right type of school. Are you better suited for a smaller school or a medium size or a big school? You're going to start going to college tours. We make sure that we explore career options for you based on your skill set and your passions. What's the best school for you? We provide you with SAT prep or ACT prep, right? We provide you classes and courses to make sure you get the best score that you need to get into the schools. On top of that, we help you apply to financial aid and scholarships. Many of our students every single year get a full ride to go to a university, whether it's a state college or a school like Harvard or University of Pennsylvania. So this is a comprehensive program, A through Z. We leave no stone unturned. And we're not just pushing one particular college. We work with you. We have different tracks. We have like a career track, like if you want to get an AS or if you want to go to a community college first and then transfer. We help you and we empower you with the skills and knowledge to achieve your goals. Minimum requirements to apply. You got to be a current high school freshman, sophomore, or junior. And you got to commit to participate in a year-round program. This is a year-long program. We have a lot of workshops in the summer, but throughout the year, we have different things that we do. College tours, workshops, sessions, SAT prep. We're looking for disciplined students. And like I mentioned, if you're low income, if you're a first-generation student, you may qualify for a scholarship to participate in the program. These are examples of students that have been through our Future Leaders Academy in some of the schools that they've been accepted to. Yale, Stanford, Cornell, University of Florida, another Yale, Duke, Cornell, Princeton. These students have all gotten full rides to study at those universities. Everything paid for. It's just an example. We have other students going to MTC, Suncoast, because that's what they want to do. That is what success is for them. We have some students that go to USF, UCF. Again, we empower you and make sure you're prepared for the right school based on your needs and your goals. Okay, so now actually I want to pass it over to one of our alumni, Bella Macias. She was a Future Leaders Academy class of 2020, and she's now studying at the University of Florida. So I'll let you jump in here.
All right,
Uh,
thank you so much, Juan. It's nice to hear from you again. Thank you so much for having me. Just to reintroduce myself, my name is Isabel Macias. I go by Bella. I'm a first generation American. I am the oldest of two. So when I first was introduced to the Unidos Now FLA Academy, I was introduced by another one of the alumni in my high school class. And I was so relieved because being a first generation American and the oldest of two, I did not have the best background in resources. Both of my parents came out of the country. They came from South America, Colombia, and Bolivia. And me being the oldest, I was the guinea pig, I would say. So being able to get into this academy, I was able to get some Common App workshop prep. I was able to get scholarship help, FAFSA help. Specifically, I would say was that I got a lot of ACT and SAT prep. Honestly, out of everything, I mostly struggled in my testing. So I was able to go to a few workshops and get a little actually like specified help for what I was struggling in for the ACT because I'm more science-based. My major is actually astrophysics, which is very niche, and I'll get into that later. I was actually set up with a mentor who went to Harvard. And at that moment, my schools that I was looking into, my college list ranged from Princeton to University of Florida to UCF. Like I had a whole range of universities, and they made sure that I had my top schools and safety schools, and that I had just a very well balanced, well rounded list. And once again, since I was a first generation American, I didn't have that much background with my parents. They did not know how the Common App was supposed to go. Going to these Common App workshops was such a lifesaver. I actually did have a Unidos Now club back in my high school, Brandon River High School. So I was able to actually take what I learned from the Common App workshops with FLA and teach other students at the Unidos Now club at my high school. So that kind of like shows like you guys a little bit how much it was like important to me, because it's a long application. You don't really think about it until you're starting to apply to it. There's so many specific questions that they're asking you. You really want to make sure that you're answering it correctly, because it's a really important application. All the colleges are going to see it. Another thing that I did want to say was that FAFSA, I cannot really thank Unidos Now enough with the FLA Academy, how much they were able to help me with their FAFSA workshop, because my parents had very bad idea of like the financial paperwork that we had to go through. I remember going to a FAFSA workshop with my father, and I have a good or more or less financial like background, but there was just some questions I did not know how to answer, and they actually had some interpreters both in Spanish and English, and they were able to explain to my father any question that he had about the FAFSA application. And the most important thing I wanted to say about the FLA Academy was that I'm so thankful for my mentor and all of the help that she did for revising my draft with my essay. My essay was regarding astrophysics, my background and my passion for space. I'm a very spacey person. I have a whole bunch of like space things behind me in my room. And in my essay, I am very once again STEM oriented. So sometimes I struggle a little bit with my grammar. And thankfully, my mentor was very writing based. So she was able to help me set up a few drafts and come up with my best essay for the Common App. At the end of the day, I was accepted, and my top two schools was Georgia Tech and University of Florida. And one thing I am very happy for Unidos Now helping me with was the chart that they had. They gave all of the seniors in the FLA Academy on weighing all of your colleges, how much money they will be giving you, the scholarships that you will receiving to go to each university, the pros and cons, and balancing the list of where you want to go. Because at least for me, I can be a little bit indecisive. So that list was able to figure out that I wanted to go to the University of Florida. And that's where I am now. And even though I'm an alumni, I was class of 2020, and I'm a sophomore currently, I'm still thankful for Unidos Now because they're like my family, they're my support system. I call it my second family. Whenever I say Unidos Now to my friends, they're like, oh, I definitely know what you're talking about, because I'm like, oh, I have a meeting today with them. And I talk so strongly about them because I really would not be where I am today without Unidos Now. I can rely on them for internship advice, college advice. I talk to my Unidos Now alumni members all of the time. I talk to them very frequently. I now work as a college coach for the FLA Academy, along with a lot of other alumni. So I know what you guys will be going through if you entered the FLA Academy. And it's been a great opportunity so far. So I am at University of Florida. I'm a sophomore majoring in astrophysics. And I'm just really thankful for what Unidos Now has done for me. So thank you so much for you guys for listening.
Thank you so much, Bella. It's so good to hear your voice again. And we're so proud of your achievements, and you're such a great role model for all of our students. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. All right, so if you want to be mentored by Bella, because that's the only reason you would join the Academy, right? So if you want to, you got to apply, right? So you got to apply to the Future Leaders Academy. Go to this link, our website, tc.unidosnow.org. You can submit your application. We'll review it. We have an interview process, so it is pretty selective, not just merit-based. We want to make sure we're finding the right types of students that are committed, that are dedicated, that are academically inclined. But we'll look at your financial background as well and see if you qualify and if you're eligible for our scholarships. So definitely apply to the Future Leaders Academy. We just started recruiting, so you're getting, I guess, an early bird special. We're going to be getting a ton of applications, and there isn't room for everybody. So we're going to be spending the next couple of months recruiting, and then I believe we'll start officially in the summer. Okay. All right. So we'd love to hear from you. Before we get into Q&A, we're going to do Q&A in a bit, but make sure you fill out the survey first. So I don't know if Cynthia, you or Alex want to put the link in the chat. We'll put this link. We want to hear from you. What did you like about this workshop? What could we improve on? What type of topics do you want to learn more about in the future? So today was just an overview. Keep that in mind. It was just a general overview. Later on, we're going to have more specific workshops about the things that we talked about. So more about career selection, more about financial aid, more about essay, extracurricular activities. So we'll do a deeper dive into those topics later. This was just an overview of the opportunities that you have. Okay, but please fill out this survey, and then we'll jump into Q&A in just a bit. Okay, so we have the link in the chat. Perfect. So let's spend the last 10, 15 minutes or so going through the questions. All right, so let me go through the chat first. Let's see what we have here.
I compiled the questions, so I'll just read them off to you if you want to answer.
Oh, thank you. Please, yeah, that'd be great.
So I think you did answer this before, but just in case not, Lucia asked if technical college is also known as like dual enrollment.
If they also accept dual enrollment?
Or if it's like you can go to tech school for dual enrollment, I think is the
question. Yeah, I think you can, but it's not called dual enrollment. Or you might, but I know that during high school, you can take courses at a technical school and get those credits approved, right? So after you graduate from high school, you've had enough credits, you've taken enough classes where you can actually work in that profession. Or you can transfer those credits and it'll only take you like half a year or a few months to complete that program. So dual enrollment is typically used for classes that you take at like a community college, like a history or a math, right? Or a USF while you're in high school. That's typically what dual enrollment is used for. You're in high school, but you're taking a college class. But there is something similar in technical colleges where if you go to Suncoast Polytechnic High School, for example, like they're right next door to Suncoast Technical School, a lot of their electives they can take like nursing classes or computer programming, and those credits are approved. They count. So after you graduate, if you have enough of them, you can go to work right away or just take a few more classes at a technical college to finish that degree. Make sense? Good stuff. All right, next question.
So Thamiris is saying, I'm an immigrant, I'm a sophomore, I really want to go to college here, but will the fact that I'm an immigrant prevent me from doing so?
Yeah, I think we talked about this. No, it won't prevent you. So the honest answer is it'll be harder, right? There's limited options, so we're not going to sugarcoat it. But we've worked with other students like that in the past, and we've helped them get into university. We've helped them get scholarships. So it's up to you. Like, how much do you want it? How much work are you willing to put in? If you join our program, we'll give you the resources, we'll give you the tools, but it's up to you to use that. So you got to have the dedication and the motivation. And the reality is that you may have to work harder than your colleagues and than your classmates. But if you have the dedication, apply to our program. I don't know if you're already in our program. Maybe you are. Maybe Cynthia or one of you guys can reach out to him. But apply to the program. Okay, that's what I would recommend. Okay, next question.
Are ACE classes considered honors or AP or their own thing?
So ACE, they're their own thing, but they're at the same level as like AP and IB, right? They still give you, I believe, like a full extra weight point in your GPA. So honors gives you like half a point, and then AP, IB, ACE, dual enrollment gives you like a full point, right? It's been a while since I looked at the high school stuff, so don't quote me on that, but they're on the same level as AP and IB. Yeah, next question.
Okay. How does junior honor society in middle and high school help when applying for colleges and universities?
It's a club, well, so it's an extracurricular activity, right? The important thing is that you join it because you actually want to, because you want to participate, because you want to grow, because you want to become a leader. Don't just join it because you want to put it on your application. It's not going to do anything. In fact, it can actually hurt you if a college admissions person looks at you and like, oh, they only joined like 1 year, or they only went to a couple of meetings because they wanted to look good on an application. No, that's not going to cut it. If you join it, make sure you join because you care about it, because you're going to be involved, because you're going to go to the meetings, because you're going to volunteer, and because you're going to become a leader in it. Same thing with the other activities. It's not about quality, or wait, I got it wrong. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, right? Deep engagement with your clubs and activities. Okay, all right.
Someone, I think Felix is asking, I got my high school diploma in Texas a few years back. Does this mean I have to go back to high school to get the extra credits I need for it to be valid here in Florida?
I do not know the answer to that question. I do not know how credits transfer from Texas to Florida. That's a good one. We'll have to get back to you on that one. If you got your high school diploma in Texas a few years back, do you have to go back to high school to get extra credit? No, I think it depends on the school, I assume, but it should be universally accepted. Doesn't matter what high school you went to in what part of the country, unless it was some sort of GED or it was like a specialized school where the credit's a little bit different. But if it's just like a normal high school diploma in Texas and you have it, yeah, you can apply to a college in Florida and in a different state. Yeah, you just got to make sure that you meet the admission requirements for that college. So maybe maybe applying to like a college here might require that you take like 4 years of a certain class, but to get the diploma in Texas, you only needed like 3 years of it, right? You know what I mean? So make sure that you understand what the requirements are and that you fill the gap. So if you need like an extra course, again, you can go to SEF and take it there. But I guess the answer is it depends.
Omar's asking, can you explain how internships are important and how I can find them?
Yeah, so internships, they're going to play a bigger role in college. You can still do it in high school, don't get me wrong. It's great. So it counts as an extracurricular activity. You get leadership skills, you learn about different careers, you network. So in our program, in the Future Leaders Academy, we help our students find internships within our network. So they're important because it shows dedication, it shows that you're a leader, you're learning about different career paths. That's the biggest thing, in my personal opinion, learning about different types of careers. So yeah, it does look good in an application, you do network, but above all else, You learn about different types of careers. And then from there, you can make a dedicated, educated decision about the type of career path you want to pursue in college. How can you find them? Joining a program like Unidos Now, calling those organizations. So if you want to volunteer at a hospital, call them, call their volunteer department, and they'll connect you to the internship. If you want to intern at a law firm, call the law firm. Literally, you just have to call. I mean, um, sometimes you'll be surprised how easy it is that you're showing dedication, right? It's like, hey, I'm a high school student. Do you guys accept any internships? Oh, you don't? Can you make an exemption? Can you just get your foot in the door? Be confident, be dedicated. But yeah, but the best way is to join a program like Unidos Now. There's other programs out there, but we have the right connections and the right network to point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Dorothy is asking, how do I join FLA even though my school doesn't offer it? Can I participate online?
So Future Leaders Academy and the clubs are two different things. So we have clubs in some schools. It looks like we don't have one in yours. That's fine. You can still join the FLA program. Yeah, in the FLA program, we'll have online workshops like we're doing now. And then depending on the pandemic and how things happen, when things open up, et cetera, when it's safe to be in schools and in workshops, we'll do them in person as well. So it's a hybrid model, right? It will be in person and online, but that's different in the high school clubs. And if you want to go above and beyond, Dorothy, you can start your own Unidos Now club. A lot of our students before were founders. They founded the club in their high school. They became presidents. Not only does it look amazing for a college application, but you learn how to become a leader and you leave a legacy in your school after you graduate. So if you don't have a club, talk to us. We'll teach you how to start one, but join our program either way.
Yeah, that actually goes into Omar's question. Are certificate achievements of education considered for leadership awards? Also, can you give tips on how to start a club in school? I'll just say, Omar, if you're interested in starting a club at your school and interested in starting an Unidos Now club at your school, you can contact me and I'll walk you through that process of getting connected with your guidance counselor and the other authorities at school who are in charge of approving those things. So I'll send you my email. Oh, you already have an Unidos Now club. Okay, that's great. I can still walk you through that process if you're interested, but as for our certificate achievements of education considered for leadership or awards, Juan, would you like to answer that question?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. If you're just talking about like a general certificate of achievement, yeah, they can be considered for leadership awards. Absolutely. If you're putting it on your resume, if you're putting in your application, put down all of your certificate awards, all of your leadership awards. Yeah, just make sure that it's true that you did it, that you completed it, and that you have some sort of record to back it up if they do ask for it. Any other questions?
I don't see anything else.
Anybody else want to add questions that we didn't get to? Okay. All right, guys, so we made it. Some of you actually asked, how do you contact us? Well, here we go. This is our contact information. Unidos Now. Email address, info@unidosnow.org. And this is our phone number. So we made it. That's it. Thank you guys so much for attending. I'll pass it over to Cynthia now.
Thank you so much, Juan. Wow. Thank you for your masterful presentation. In 60 minutes, you told us about the different types of post-secondary education options, from Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, Bachelor's, Master's, PhD. You told us about the main requirements to get into college, how to create a balanced college list, the type of financial aid options available, and also about the Future Leaders Academy. Wow, I bet that all of you, same as me, have learned something new today. I hope that you have found this webinar useful. And as Juan said at the beginning, this is the beginning of a series of workshops that we're going to be offering based on what your interests are. So that's why we really appreciate if you could please complete the so that we can gauge your interest, and based on that, we will continue offering opportunity for you to learn, to become empowered, and to be able to realize your dreams of going to college. And somebody asked about applying to FLA. I do not know if that was answered, but just to let you know, any student who are in 9th, 10th, or 11th grade now are eligible to apply for the Future Leaders Academy. The earlier you start, the better, because you have more time to learn everything and you will not have to rush as it happens when there are rising seniors joining the program. So again, if you're in 9th, 10th, or 11th grade, feel free to apply. The application process includes a few essay type questions, some information that we need from you, such as your academic transcript. And then if you get pre-selected, you will go through an interview process, and then we will start the program in early June. So we hope to see your applications and have the opportunity to get to know you. And as you can see here on the screen, if you have any questions, please send us an email or leave us a voicemail at that number, and we'll be happy to get back to you and assist you in the best possible way. Again, I would like to thank the Charles and Marjorie Baranski Foundation for the opportunity to offer this learning workshop, this learning space for our community. And I would also like to thank Juan. It's always a pleasure to work with you. My colleagues, Lisbeth, who is in the audience, Leslie, Alex, and Lucero, who's done an amazing job as the interpreter. If you have other questions, just send us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again, and have a wonderful rest of the evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.